Today you are going to create a slides presentation about one of the following topics. Your first option is water scarcity, which refers to people not having enough water to live comfortably. The second topic option is desertification, which refers to the spread of deserts into places that were not deserts before, forcing people to move and leave their homes. The third option is overpopulation, which occurs when people do not have enough resources to support the amount of people living in an area. And the fourth option is the loss of the coral reefs, which is the death of the coral reefs around the world's oceans. The first step in creating our slides presentation is typing in the title. Our title should be our topic. For this example, our topic is COVID-19, so we are just going to click in the box that says click to add title, and we're going to type in COVID-19. That is the first step in our project. Now we have a title slide. The next thing that you're going to do before you move on to the next slide is choose the theme for your presentation. You can do this in one of two ways. It may pop up automatically in the area to the right of your slide where it says choose a theme, in which case you can just go right there. In our example video, we're going to show you right now how to open that up yourself. So if it doesn't say choose a theme on the right side of your screen, you're going to go here and click theme, and then it pulls it right up. So here you have a choice of many different designs, and you can choose with whichever one you like the best, and this will automatically make all of your slides match and make them beautiful. So I am going to choose, let's choose this one right here. So it automatically changes the font, the colors, etc., etc. You can click around and look at them all and decide which one you like the best before we move on to the next slide. The next step is filling out our first slide. So this is slide number 2, but it's our first slide with information on it. So on this slide, we're going to focus on what is the problem in your topic. So for the topic COVID-19, the problem is basically that there's a pandemic. So we're going to click in our add text box here, and we're going to add just a few bullet points. Now to turn this into bullet points, you're going to go up to the top and click right here for a bulleted list. Now, you're going to come up with, somewhere between 1, 2, 3, something like that, bullet points about the problem that people are facing because of your topic. So for COVID-19, I'm going to write COVID-19 is a pandemic. That's a problem, right? COVID-19 forced businesses and schools to close. That was a major part of the problem. And of course, COVID-19 killed many people. People got sick and died. So these are my 3 bullet points describing why COVID-19 was a problem. Now, once I have my 3 bullet points, because this is a slides presentation, we want to make the font as big as we can while it still fits into the box. So to do that, we're going to select all the text, and we're going to come up here and click this plus button in the format bar to increase the font size. So we're going to click that and make it as big as we can until it just fits in the box. Now, if you don't like the way that looks, if you think it looks a little too big, you can make it smaller. This is up to you. You want it to look good and be easy to read. Another thing that we're going to do here to make our bullet points easy to read is select the text and alter the spacing. So up here where we have line and paragraph spacing right next to where you had your bulleted list, we're going to click that, and we're going to click add space after list item. And this gives you a nice little space between your bullet points, and it just makes it a little bit easier to read and a little bit nicer to look at. So you want to do that for your bulleted list, especially in slides presentations. The next thing we're going to do is add a picture to this slide. So the easiest way to do that is to go up to the top, and we're going to click Insert, Image, and we're going to search the web. So we click Search the web, and now this is actually the same thing as searching in Google Images. So you just want to type in your topic or something related to your topic, just like you would if you were going to search it up in Google. Search it right here and grab your image to put on the slide. So I'm going to type in COVID-19. It comes up, and all these images that I might choose to use in my slides presentation here. So I'm going to choose, let's see, which one do we like? Let's choose this one with the doctor. So we click on it, we click Insert, and it's going to create the image right in the slide for us. Now, we can do a number of things to make this look a little nicer if we want to. I find the easiest way to make this picture look a little nicer is to add a border. So I'll show you how to do that. So you come up to the top, and right here where it says border weight, we're going to click on that, and we're going to make it 1, and then you can look at it, and now it has a nice border. You can make this as big as you want. You can make it a 3, it gets thicker with the higher the number. And you can also change the color of that border. If you choose one of the colors at the top, it'll automatically match the rest of the colors in your slide. So that's the next thing we're going to do to finish off our slide and make it look great. Our next slide is about who is actually impacted by the problem that we're talking about. So in this example, we've said our topic is COVID-19, so our problem is the pandemic. So just like on the first slide, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to turn on my bullet points by clicking up at the top. And I'm going to find 1, 2, or 3 bullet points that talk about who is actually impacted by this problem. So I think about COVID-19 and I say, well, who did that impact? And really, I would say that that impacted people all over the world, right? So I'm going to write that in there for my first bullet point. My second bullet point, when I'm thinking about people that were seriously impacted by this, I'm going to say doctors and healthcare workers, because they were working to end the pandemic and to take care of people who were suffering throughout the entire duration of the pandemic, and they're still working on that today. The next person or group of people that I'm going to mention here are students. And I'll add educators too, because there was a lot of conflict around the schools, and schools had to close, and it caused a lot of problems for people who were either going to school, the students, or working in the schools, the educators, and other professionals. So we have our 3 bullet points. So just like on the first slide, now we want to make sure they look good. So there's 2 things we have to do, right? We have to make our font bigger, and we have to fix our spacing. So let's do the spacing first this time. So we select all the text in there. We go up to the top to our line and paragraph spacing, and we're going to choose Add Space After List Item. Now they're spaced out, they look a little nicer, and we can go ahead and make these as big as we want so that they're easy to read and they look good on our slide. The next step to finish our slide is to add our image. So once again, we're going to go up to Insert, Image. We're going to search the web, brings up our Google search, and I'm going to look for a picture of some of these people, because this slide is about the people. So I want my picture to be about the people too. So I'm going to decide that I would like to put doctors in. So I'm going to type in COVID-19 doctors and go ahead and search for that. So now I have plenty of pictures here to choose from. I'm going to choose this guy putting his mask on. So I click on the picture, and then I click Insert, and Google does the rest for me. Once again, I want to make this look a little bit nicer. So I'm going to come up to the top, click my border. Let's choose 3. I like that number. And let's go ahead and once again choose a color for the border that matches the slide. Looks nice, right? Now, the last thing I'm thinking is that I really want to focus this picture on the guy putting his mask on. So if I want to do that and I want to kind of cut out this side part, maybe cut out this guy in the background, I'm going to come up to the top and click on this button right here that looks like a square. That's our crop button. So if we click that, now you'll see these little black borders have popped up around your image, and you can actually cut out the guy in the background and center this person in the frame. So once you move it over, you just click enter on your keyboard, and now you have a little bit more of a focused image. And our who is impacted by this problem slide is complete. Our next slide here is focusing on how does this problem impact people. So in the last slide, we talked about who was impacted. Now we're talking about how they're actually impacted. So once again, we want 1 to 3 bullet points. That's a good rule for most slides. So we're going to go up to the top and we're going to click on our bulleted list, and we're going to come up with 1 to 3 bullet points about how our problem impacts people. So when I'm thinking about my topic, which is COVID-19, how did that impact people? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is people got sick, right? People were getting sick with COVID. Another way that this impacted people was that people lost their loved ones, right? Many, many people unfortunately passed away from COVID. And I'm also going to think again about our schools and students, and I'm going to say, students lost learning time with the schools being closed. It was a little hectic, and it wasn't the same amount of learning they would have gotten in school in a regular scenario. So once again, we have 2 things to do. We need to fix our spacing and we need to fix our font size. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Click up here on our paragraph spacing, add space after list item, and then we're going to make it bigger with our plus next to the font size until we like the way it looks. And now we have our bullet points. The next thing we have to do to finish our slide is to go ahead and choose our image. So we go up to Insert. We're going to go to Image, search the web. Here's our wonderful Google search. And we're going to look for the impact of this on people. So what kind of picture do I think I want to look for? So I look at my bullet points and I think, okay, I could look for a sick person. Maybe I could look for somebody who's in mourning for losing a loved one. But I'm going to choose to look for students, right? Because I think that would be a good picture for my slide. So I'm going to type in my topic, COVID-19, and now I'm looking for students. So here we go. Now we have a ton of pictures that come up with students in classrooms during COVID. I'm going to choose this one because these 2 students are working from home. And I think that that's a good representation of COVID impacting students. So I've clicked the picture, I see my little blue check, and then I go ahead and click Insert, and Google does the rest for me. Now, once again, I want it to look a little nicer, so I'm going to go up here, click my border, make it a 3, and then I'm going to change the color to match my slide's theme. And now this slide is complete. Next, we have our where slide. Where is this problem happening? Where did COVID-19 happen? Where did it impact people? And once again, we're going to start with our bullet points. So we go up here and we click our bulleted list. There we have our first bullet point. And like I had said in one of my earlier slides, this problem really impacted people all over the world. So that's my first bullet point. But I want to add a few more because that doesn't feel like enough detail to me. So the next thing I'm going to think about is maybe where was this impacting people more than others? Now, I remember hearing that this pandemic impacted people worse in areas that were crowded. So I'm going to write that. I'm going to write it was worse in crowded areas. Now, I don't need to go into too much detail here. I think that's a good kind of summary of that bullet point. The next thing I'm thinking about is that this was a lot worse in areas that didn't have resources to fight against it, didn't have enough hospitals, didn't have enough doctors and things like that. So I'm going to add that too. This was worse in areas with less resources. Now I have my 3 bullet points. So just like we did on the other slides, we're going to fix the spacing and make the font size larger. So we select them all, we go up to the top, we change our spacing. So we click this here and we go to add space after list item. Now we're going to use our plus size button to make it nice and big, that it's easy to read from a distance. And now we are going to go ahead and look for our image. Now, whenever you're thinking about where, you might want to think about adding a map. So to add a map, you're going to do it the same way. You still go up to Insert, Image, and search from the web to pull up your Google search. But now I'm going to type in COVID-19 map, and let's see if anything good comes up. And it looks like we have a number of maps here that are showing different things about COVID. Areas that were, it looks like, impacted. If you look closely at some of them, you can read the key. But really, we're looking for a map that shows the whole world, because that's what we had said we were interested in. So I'm going to choose this first one. We're going to put it in, and this shows the entire world, right? And if you look at the top, once I've put it in, it says cumulative confirmed COVID-19 cases per million people. So this is showing us a map of where there were confirmed COVID-19 cases in the world. And we can see that the whole world is impacted in some way. So I think this is perfect for this slide. So when you type your topic in with the word map, you'll probably see a whole bunch of things come up, and you can choose which one you like the best. Now here, once again, we can add a border if we want to. If you think it looks nice without it, you don't need it, but I tend to like the border. So once again, we add the 3, and then we go ahead and we add the color. And now we have our where slide is complete. Next, we have our why. Why does this problem occur? Why does the problem you're focusing on in the slides presentation, why is it happening? What are the causes of this? So we're going to go to our box again. Once again, we want about 3 bullet points here to really make the slide look nice. So we click up our bulleted list, and then we think to ourselves, all right, so why did COVID happen? Now I'm going to think, well, you know, it's a sickness. So in some ways, parts of this was natural. It spread from person to person. That's how sickness works. So I'm going to write natural, because to me, that sort of makes sense. When we talk about where this COVID-19 virus came from, it really, there's a number of theories out there, right? About if it came from, you read animals, you read it might have been from, some sort of medical facility or something like that. We don't really know yet. I like to think that we can just write here, people are still kind of debating the origins, right, of where this came from, why this happened. And I think that over time, hopefully we'll learn more about it. But for my slides presentation, that sounds to me like a good bullet point. Then we're going to think about, why did this get so bad, right? There's tons of sicknesses. Why did it get so bad? And I'm going to add that this was very contagious. It was hard to contain it. If you remember in the beginning, we didn't really know how. Was it airborne? Was it not airborne? There was lots of discussion. So when I look back on this, I think it was pretty contagious, and it spread really quickly. So we have our 3 bullet points. We select them. Once again, we need to go ahead, add our space after the list item, and then use our plus button to make this font look big. Now, when I'm thinking about why this problem occurs, and I need an image for that. I want to think about the things I actually wrote here. So when I look at these, I think, I bet it's going to be the easiest to find some sort of image of something being contagious, because it just feels like it would be. So when you're thinking about what image to choose, look at your bullet points and think, what's the easiest image to find about this? And then once again, we go up to our insert, we search the web, and I'm going to search the word contagious. And let's see what comes up. And there's lots of stuff here for me to choose from, right? I kind of like this one. Look at this one. It looks like germs, right? I think that's a cool one. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to bring it right in here, and there we go. Now it looks good. We're going to add our border, level 3, and we're going to add it, make it blue. So there we go. Our Y slide is complete. Next, we have our final content slide, our final slide with important information. And this is our slide that talks about why is this topic or problem important to learn about? Why do we bother learning about it? What does it teach us? What can we do with this information? Why should we care about this? And once again, we want our bullet points. So we're going to our box, we're turning on our bulleted list, and I'm thinking, why should we study COVID-19? Why should we think about this? And I think there's a couple of reasons here that I think it's important to learn about. So the first one that I'm going to write down is that we can learn lessons for future pandemics. And I think that's why we study a lot of things in social studies, so that we can learn different things that'll help us in the future in similar situations. And the next bullet point, this was an illness. So I think in studying this, we can learn more about how to cure illness, right? And other diseases that might be similar to COVID-19 in the future. When I think about COVID-19, I think about vaccines, right? Helping us to solve it, and all of the research and development that went in to creating these vaccines, and everything that the scientists learn. I mean, it's not very often that the whole world focuses on solving one medical problem, but that is what was happening. So I think, this might help us learn more about vaccines that can help us prevent illness in the future. These are my 3 bullet points. Yours, of course, will relate to your topic. And once again, we select them, we fix our spacing, add space after list item, we make them nice and big, and now we have our text. So last thing we want to do here is go ahead and add an image. So we insert our image, we search the web, and I think, what kind of image could represent this? And I think, almost all my bullet points here are about learning more about something, right? We're learning lessons for the future. We're learning how to cure illness. So maybe I'm just going to look for a picture of people learning, and I'm going to choose one that I think looks good. Right off the bat, I kind of like this one. Let's do this one. Look at this person here pointing out the books. Very nice. Okay, so we're going to add our border, level 3. We're going to add our color, and now we have our beautiful slide complete and ready to go. Now that our slides presentation is complete, we have all of our information and our images, and it looks great. We're just going to run through a few quick tips and tricks that you can use to make this even better. So for starters, I want to show you something here up in your help menu. So if you're looking to do something and you can't remember how to do it, whatever it is, change the theme, insert an image, whatever, you can click on help up at the top, and you can actually search the entire Google Slides menu, and it'll pull up exactly what you need. So let's say I wanted to change the theme of my slide, but I can't remember how to do that. So I go to my help menu, and the search bar comes right up, and I'm just going to type in theme. And now it's giving me all these options. Do I want to edit my theme? Do I want to build my own theme? Do I want to change the theme? I want to change the theme. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now it brings me right back to that theme spot. And you can use that help menu in Google Slides, in Google Docs, in anything on Google, and it'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. The second tip that I'm going to give you is to think about the layout of your slide. Now, when you opened this up, it was all prepared for you in the right layout, but you can change this and choose any layout you want by right-clicking on the slide, and you can look here and you see all these different options. So let's say that I want to create a new slide and I'm not really sure what I want it to look like, but I don't think that this layout with the text on the left and the picture on the right is going to work for me. So let's play with it a little. So we add our new slide. Looks just like the old one. And now we're going to go and change the layout. And we can go and select any of these. So let's say I want it to look like this one. Now maybe I'll put the title here, the text here, and now I have this big space for a much larger image. And you can play with this and choose whichever layouts you want. Another way to choose a layout is to put all of your information into the slide. So we'll use this important to learn about slide that we already have. And then click down here and select your Explore tab. And this recommends layouts that Google thinks will make your slide look great. So you can choose these, right? You can click on them and see if you like any of them more than the layout you currently chose. So this is just another way to play with your layouts and make your slides presentation look unique and look the way you want it to look. So if you want, you can take a few minutes to go back to your slide, make sure your images look good, make sure your fonts and your colors and your themes and your layouts all look exactly how you want. And then we can have our most beautiful slides presentation. Let's talk a little bit about how to change the font itself if you don't like it. So once you're finished, you can go back and say, you know, I don't really like this font. It doesn't really look the way I want it to look. And you can change that up here in your format bar. So you want to select the text that you want to change the font for. You're going to go ahead and click right now. This font is called Roboto. So if we click up here, we have tons of different fonts to choose from. And you can select them based on this menu because you can see exactly what they all look like. Now, a couple of things about fonts when you are doing slides presentations. You always want to remember that these slides presentations are supposed to be easy to read. So there's tons of fonts here that look kind of fun and different, but maybe might not be the best choice for a slides presentation that people have to see from a distance. So for example, any kind of font in script tends to be a little bit more difficult to read. So if we change this right here, you can see that COVID-19 in this script font called Lobster is no longer easy to read. What it does is it makes these uppercase letters fancy, and it's a lot more difficult to read this first bullet point than the future ones. So you always want to make sure when you are choosing your font, it's something that if you were standing across the room, it's clear enough to read for people who are looking at it from a distance. Now I've decided, okay, I chose Lobster, it doesn't look good, so I can go ahead and undo that in order to bring it back to the other font. So you can do that by pressing Ctrl-Z on your keyboard, or you can just come right up here and just click undo and it'll bring it right back. So you can play with the fonts and see which ones you like. You can also change the color of your font. So for example, you go up here, you click text color, and your colors are organized by theme. So here at the top, you have all the colors that if you choose those, they're going to match. At the bottom, you have extra colors, so you can make them look however you want. So let's say I decide I want to change this to navy, and I think, oh, that looks great. I love that. I'm going to keep it, right? Or maybe I don't like it, and I'm going to click undo. So you can play with this to make them look however you want. Same issue with font color that we have with font style. We want to make sure that whatever font we choose, it's easy to read, and the color plays a big role in that. So if I come up here to my text color and I look at the top and I think, wow, look at all these great colors. I love this light blue, right? So then I'm going to click this light blue, but now that's really, really difficult to read. People far away from this are not going to be able to read it. So I have to say to myself, you know what, as much as I love that light blue, it just does not work on this white background. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that and keep it nice and dark. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on not only what you like and what looks good, but also on what is easy to read.